bienvenidos, benvenuti. Welcome to the Music Polyglot channel. Today we are going to have a look at The Perfect Pair by Beabadoobee of her new album. Now, I know that there's a couple of videos already, pretty good ones out there, but I'm going to show you an extra little secret so that you can play it exactly like it is on the record. If you want tabs, check the description below. Let's have a look at all that in a close-up. Let's begin by talking about the chords. The first chord that we have is going to be an A flat minor, but we're only going to play the second, the third, and the fourth strings. So that means that we need to double stop or partially bar the second and third strings with our index, right? You don't need to get the first string to ring out. It's fine if it's kind of muffled and muted like that. You really only need the second and third. And then with the third finger, we are going to go to the 6th fret and get that A flat. This gives you an A flat minor triad. So that's chord number 1. For chord number 2, we're going to leave the index exactly where it is, double stopping on that 4th fret. And we're going to swap our ring finger for the middle finger 1 fret lower on the 5th. That's chord number 2. Chord number 3 will see our lower note dropping another fret. And the other 2 strings not changing. So now it's up to our index to go up and also bar that 4th string to get those 3 notes. And then we'll do that again. By again, I mean the low note will drop another fret. And now, obviously, we're using our index to play that, so we no longer have it up here to bar. So we're going to use our ring and our pinky to keep those 2 notes. And finally, we're going to take our index another fret down to the 2nd. And again, we're going to leave the 2nd and 3rd strings unchanged. Okay, so that chord sequence in one go goes. Okay. Notice how 2nd and 3rd strings don't change at all, and it's only the low note that drops down by a semitone at a time. This is a very, very common thing in music called a line cliché, where only one voice within the chord changes to kind of give you the impression, really, that there's more movement than there actually is. It's not that the chords are changing every time, like I see a couple of YouTube videos overanalyzing this. It's just one line that moves within the chord to give that impression of movement. It sounds, and you can tell how Beabadoobee has taken this with a slightly kind of Latin-influenced picking pattern as well, because this is very, very common in Latin music, right? Especially some piano montunos in salsa, etc., use this device all the time to give the impression that there's a lot more harmonic movement than there actually is. So for our intents and purposes, this is all an A flat minor chord up until we get to this. Here you can really hear that chord change, right? This is an E major 7. This is the only place where the chord actually changes. Let's look at the picking pattern now. The picking pattern is a 2-bar rhythm pattern that goes like this. I'll stay on the first A flat minor chord just to show you the picking pattern and the rhythm. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. And again slow. Okay, so those are the 2 bars. The way you would count this is like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 3, 4. So it is going to be important for you to get this pattern down, thinking about these two bars, these two halves of the pattern. Try it on one chord to begin with and make sure that you can replicate it over and over again. Because the only difficult thing about this chord sequence is that the chords actually change in between the pattern. So I'll show you that now. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. Every time that you're about to start a verse, be it the first or the second verses, the pattern is exactly like this. So you only have 4 chords. And then you go back to the beginning. But once the verse and the chorus start, you have an extra chord, which is the E major 7, on which you stay for 2 bars. Okay. Now on the next 2 bars, you have the turnaround, which is also 2 bars, which starts off where you are. So don't go anywhere. You start off on that E major 7. Right, let's break that down. So you have E major 7 for a bar. You change, pushing on that second bar by moving up your index again 1 fret. Then you move up again 1 fret. That's the index note. That would move up a fret. Going back to that E flat minus 7, right, which is barring strings 2, 3, and 4 with the index. And then you play this run on the 4th string with your thumb. You go, right, using 1 finger per fret, index, middle, ring. Right, let me play you that turnaround one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's hear it one more time. Here it goes. Okay. And that little turnaround is the only bit that's rhythmically different. And that happens pretty much every time. You'll hear that here and there. There's a couple of variations where they leave out the last chord. You can try and replicate that as well. But if you play this turnaround every time, that'll sound great and it works absolutely fine. If you'd like a free one-on-one lesson with me on this tune, all you need to do is to drop me a message on my website, to which I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, so here's that hidden secret that I was telling you about. For those who are very observant, you might have noticed exactly what it is, right? It's a muted or ghost note with the thumb. See if you, now that you know what it is, see if you can spot it. 3, 4. Right. This really is what makes the pattern in this particular song obviously sound authentic. I mean, sound like what you hear on the record. And the guitarist is actually quite consistent in that he plays the same thing every time, even when he plays this live. So let's talk a little bit about how to think about this, okay? It's not something that you should try and overcomplicate and replicate by, you know, practicing the muting and all that. It's more a matter of how you think about this. So let's take the first chord. after you've played thumb and then the other two fingers, index and middle, what happens is that you actually let go of the pressure that you have on your left hand. So you don't keep those chords ringing out. You kind of mute them by releasing the pressure. I don't mean taking your hand off, right? I just mean you stop squeezing, right? That's what happens. And as soon as you do that, you're going to go back on to play the next set of thumb and index ring, index middle. Right? Now what you do in between is you play a thumb, a muted thumb. Get that? So without the ghost note you'd have, right? With the ghost note you have 3, 4, which gives you an extra little bit of rhythm that's actually quite tasty. And you kind of replicate that every time that you can. So in between your thumb, index, middle patterns, you try and sneak in a muted thumb. See if you can spot every time that it happens in the pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how it doesn't actually happen at the end of the pattern. Here. Last time. Slow. I really do suggest that you develop this extra thumb thing by feel and ear, rather than trying to read it or trying to make it kind of part of your pattern, rather than having to practice it, a million times. Over practicing this, it's going to sound stifled rather than spicy. Before you go, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That really, really helps. And if the video helped you, give it a like. If you'd like sheet music and tabs for this song and all the other songs on the channel, all you need to do is to check the Patreon link in the description below. Thank you for staying till the end, and I'll see you next time. Hasta la próxima, arrivederci, au revoir.